It's over, my son. Close the portal. Cut the...
Son, you couldn't go through.
No.
A single shot of adrenaline would have saved my ass. Why didn't you give it to me, you cheap fuck? My life was in your hands, and you let me die.
Blackens, old-timer. I always had your back.
Taking care of us was
Why
your
didn't you have
job.
mine?
You let me die. You
The unity
failed.
you gave at my funeral was awful.
I trusted you. You were supposed to save us all.
You killed Kostia, you motherfucker. My Kostia.
Why? Why did you betray me, Mousy?
After everything I've done for you, you chose
Taking an unarmed prisoner.
This isn't
possible. I expected more
These
from
things
you, Professor
can't all have
Comedian.
happened. I fixed them. At least some of them.
You were wrong. Did you think meddling with space-time wouldn't have consequences? All of this, every bit of it, happened.
But how? I was going back through the wormholes. I was fixing everything.
There is no time travel the way your friend Olivier understands it. You can never change what's already occurred, because every change creates its own space-time continuum.
And time only moves in one direction. Entropy.
Every time you make or unmake a decision, you twist an entire dimension. It's because you are a part of me, made from the same multi-dimensional stuff.
But I just wanted to save Tatiana.
Yes, your mother. And along the way, you destroyed countless lives across dozens of dimensions. All because of animal body chemistry, because of the human need to connect with your progenitor. So, here I am. I am your real mother.
What are you? Chernobylite?
I am God.
Bullshit. There is no God.
But it's
Don't.
having a bit of a night. The fear that...
Fear?
The fear of... But don't worry.
What do you...
Have you ever... Why destroy... Why?
If you're thinking people, so what's next? Am I to be...
I never expect... No.
Is that right?
Again, I can take...
How?
Your kind become... I will I must...
That is some...
Your skin... This is what being a hero is all about. You went on a quest to heal the world, to find a cure. I am the cure. We can banter words for as long as you want. I have plenty of time. But the result is inevitable. You and I are already connected at the core. You cannot exist without me. Struggling against me will only tire you. It will not in the slightest change the outcome. You are like a fish, endlessly swimming the circumference of a wash basin. You want to jump out, but without me, you simply can't. All your science cannot help you. It's time to set aside this futile struggle. Help yourself and the world. Embrace me.
I see you have it all figured out, my love. But it's not going to happen. I refuse to take part. If mankind wants to destroy itself, let it. For all I know, extinction is a better fate than becoming part of whatever you are.
You are defiant, like her. But as I said, we can do this forever. For eternity. I can have you wake back up at your base again and again. In the end, you will always return to me. It is a circle.
A circle? Of course.
Oh, don't get distracted with your theories now. You have no choice. We belong together.
I almost fell for it. But something betrayed you. You omitted one detail, a detail that makes you vulnerable. Me. I'm your only hope, and this also makes me your biggest weakness.
You cannot exist without me. I made you. Everything you are is because of me.
True, but you also cannot exist in this plane without me. You're no god. You're just a fucking parasite. A freeloader looking for a new host, hoping to get a foothold in a new environment. Tanya, my mom, is no longer a viable option for you. You can't use her anymore. Who knows? Perhaps you never needed her in the first place. And all this was a ruse to bring me back to you.
You don't even know what you are. You have no identity. You don't exist without me. Now obey.
Identity. Yes. Perhaps I'm Igor. Perhaps I'm Igor's son. Perhaps I'm both. Maybe I'm just a faulty copy of a dead physicist. But it doesn't matter. I make my own choices. And that brings us neatly to my conclusion. As a scientist, I must test this theory before I can confirm or deny it. So watch closely, my love. This is my final experiment. It's time to break the circle and destroy the parasite by denying it a host.
No! 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 The protagonist never returned from the power plant. The Chernobylite vanished entirely. The zone is now free of it. Igor stalkers drove off the remaining NAR troops and even convinced a few of them to join the cause. Now they're working together for the good of the Samoshels, tracking down the few remaining monsters still roaming the area. Olivier never had the chance to change his own history and prevent the ambush that wiped out his team. Igor's example convinced him to abandon his plan and accept his flawed past. That tragedy, after all, made him the man he was. With time, he made his peace, and in the end, was grateful to be part of something bigger than himself. Once the events in the zone were finished, he sought out Anton's fiancée and took care of both her and her daughter. In spite of his flaws, Olivier will always be remembered in the zone for his courage and grit. Mikhail's life was always full of violence. He was the angriest, most obnoxious man Igor had ever known, but he was also unfailingly honest, both with himself and others. Mikhail's thirst to avenge his murdered friends was his main driving force, but working with Igor and the others eventually made him appreciate the kinder aspects of life. In spite of his rough manner and the darkness inside him, Igor came to like the neurotic stalker, and by the end, considered him a true colleague. Mikhail decided to remain in the zone and join the others in protecting their shared home. Sashko had always been the lone wolf and daredevil of the zone. Life had always been harsh for him, and he learned the hard way to rely only on himself. His crusade against NAR began with a desire for closure regarding his brother Ruslan's death, but Igor's quest to find Tatiana was what kept him going until the finish line. After the events in the zone, Sashko decided to go back to Moscow and face the hard truth about his parents' death. Eventually, he would return to Pripyat, which became his second home. Tarakon's fight against the Rat King has reached an end. Having barely survived the zone, he realized his time was up. Now, someone else must carry the torch and defeat the evil lurking in the power plant. But Tarakan wasn't worried. After all, he had prepared Igor and others well. Tarakan's true identity was never discovered. Was he a madman, a saint, a spy? Perhaps he was all of these, or perhaps none of them. But one thing is certain. The old man was a true child of Pripyat. His restless soul will forever wander its marshes and woods. When all was said and done, Olga's thoughts went to her mother and the Samoshils. She had joined Igor in his mission because she knew what it meant to live with a hole inside you, a hole left by the departed. As a troubled teenager in Minsk, she'd never planned to become a freedom fighter or martyr, but sometimes we encounter the person who will change our destiny at just the right moment. Life is unpredictable that way. Olga decided to continue serving as the huntress, different to human suffering. It was only thanks to his nephew Galib and Igor that Koslov found a serendipitous moment that placed his life on a new trajectory. He realized that some victories come at too great a cost. Koslov left NAR at just the right time and lived out his days in quiet contemplation, somewhere far beyond their nefarious grasp. Semenov's ambitions and neuroses eventually got him killed. He was a brilliant scientist, but could never come to terms with the collapse of the Soviet Union. Though not a devout communist, Semenov could not stomach the chaotic aftermath, for it reflected the emptiness of his own heart. And so he chased his green Chernobylite dream, hoping his experiments would usher in a new world order. In reality, what he sought was to fill the gaping void in his own soul. In the end, everything he thought he had achieved disintegrated into nothing. He died, and NAR dissolved, most of its mercenaries wiped out by either the Shadows or the Samoshils. All that remains of NAR in the zone are the empty barracks and derelict labs, stark reminders of a misguided ambition based on human misery. Faced with staggering losses, the shareholders halted all funding,